Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Dan Whitfield, who's the owner-operator of CoachUp. Dan, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mike. Good to join you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to know you and getting your perspectives on helping clients. Tell us a little bit about yourself and then what led you to start your firm, CoachUp.
Sure. No, absolutely. I am looking forward to just kind of sharing a little bit about my story because I think it's representative of where a lot of people are at. And so absolutely appreciate you inviting me on your show.
Yeah, so what's your background? Did you come from a corporate background? And then what made you think one day, I should start my coaching firm?
Yeah, I had spent the better part of 15 plus years in executive sales management positions and had tremendous success and enjoyed that thoroughly. It had a mix of managing large field sales teams and then also had a couple of experiences managing 50 to 75 reps in inside sales environments and had a migration of moving forward and better opportunities and growth and expansion. It was all good until one day it wasn't. And I was unexpectedly laid off. And so never intended to start my own company, but one day after I was laid off, I thought, while I'm looking for new opportunities, I'm just going to incorporate. And I did, and it's been 6 years later and nonstop, and just the business has taken off. So it wasn't really an intentional thing to begin with, but like a lot of people during this pandemic who find themselves displaced, I just decided to make the best of it, and glad I did.
Yeah, you hear that story so many times, like you talk to a chiropractor that said, when I was little, I was in a car wreck and my back was all messed up and this chiropractor changed my life, so I want to be that. So same with you. You kind of see a moment in time where you picked up some pieces and tips and really made a difference in your life professionally, and then now you want to do the same with your clients. Is there a specific type of client you work with best, or what type of value and deliverable do you provide to your clients?
There is. The profile, for lack of a better term, of customer that I seem to have migrated to and they seem to have experienced the best results would be that business owner that has revenue of somewhere between 1 million and 50 million, and companies that have teams of 2 to 3 people up to about 50 to 75 employees. So it's really that bread and butter, just heart of the small, medium-sized business owner that I've navigated to. And I think the reason why is I've been in their seat. I've owned my own businesses that size, and I've managed larger teams that have sold into that sector. And so that's why I tend to really be rooted in just, rolling up my sleeves and spending all day, every day with small business to medium-sized business owners. Yeah,
and you gotta speak the language and know the lingo, and then they kind of know that you know from whence they come, and that kind of creates a nice little connection that way.
Absolutely.
Is there a specific industry that you specialize in, or does it matter? Like a lot of people might go, I was an engineer, so I help engineers. Or is there a specific niche that you focus in?
There really isn't, and there's a reason behind that. I spent about 10 plus years in yellow pages and digital advertising, and led large sales teams, and those. And our products, both print and digital, appealed to the mass of the market. there were hundreds and thousands of verticals that we sold into. And as a result, all day, every day, we were talking to a diversity of business owners. And so I've just taken that kind of broad knowledge and those broad experiences of helping, a lot of verticals drive leads and job generation, and it's given me the flexibility to pivot now in my own business and to feel comfortable about serving really multiple verticals.
Yeah, it's like, there's nothing new under the sun, and there's a lot of principles in business that really work for any industry, and it's not like it's cookie cutter, but if one thing works for one industry, then it will certainly work for another. You just have to apply it a different way. So I'm with you on that. You don't need to be the expert for dentists to help them, whatever, because, they have the same kind of needs. They need to look like a professional. They need new customers. They need good messaging. So yeah, I agree with you 1,000% on that. What are you finding typically that your clients are coming to you needing your help with?
Revenue generation. Because I spent the lion's share of my executive management career in lead generation and job creation, with a focus on just driving top line revenue, that seems to resonate either in the content that I generate that I push out to potential clients, or just my blog or other, content pieces that I've created. And those conversations have centered around how can we build out your sales organization? How can we accelerate revenue? How can we create opportunities for your business to expand?
Dan, every time I hear that response, revenue and more money and cash flow, I agree 100%, but then I also wonder if I can get your thoughts on this, because this is the way I think, and I wonder if you see the same thing. If there's that proverbial bucket with holes in it, and the business owner thinks, I need more revenue, more cash flow, and let's pour more water in, that's one aspect, but there's the other aspect of plugging up the holes. Do you find that some of your clients might need to start first with looking at the organization as a whole and plugging up where the money goes out? Because all of a sudden now, if you can plug up some of the waste, now the current revenue and cash flow that they have might be okay for a short time, and then let's launch into the revenue generating, because now it's going to be even more productive.
That's a great point, Mike, and I think you have nailed it and hit it just like spot on. What has afforded me a unique niche is my background is really distinct in this way. Normally, a business coach will specialize either in sales management or in general management. If you looked at my career, almost 50% of it is divided. I've been a general manager in businesses and successful, and I've been an executive sales director and have seen success. So consequently, I bring the type of business acumen into a relationship where my mind really sees both top line and bottom line revenue. And one of almost the initial conversations that we have in a client relationship is, how can we customize this so you get the best of both worlds? Because if we're pushing up, and bringing in customers into the front door and they're departing out the back door, we've got a broken funnel. And so how can we have the best of both worlds? How can we tailor our customized coaching program to, yes, drive top line revenue, but to protect it on the back end and to grow your business with a sustainable model?
Yeah, I think that, we can just put a pin right there and say, hey, drop the mic. Thank you. That was a wonderful lesson. And if you can only learn one thing from this interview, that is it. Now, you can get coaches to address that same topic and get 426 execution, ideas. But that's where, Dan comes in, is people need to go, I don't see the forest for the trees. Dan, you're the outside looking in. You can see our organization. What should I do? Guide me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that's just the benefit that an external coach brings.
Absolutely. And sometimes we overcomplicate it, and I'm pretty transparent with clients early on that for the most part, we're only going to talk about 4 basic things. We're going to talk about people. We're going to talk about process. We're going to talk about product/pricing and then positioning. And that's it. We don't have to complicate this. Business metrics, when they're in alignment and when you're, really efficiently running them well, aren't complicated. They have very few moving parts. Let's just simplify this. Let's set out a course of action and let's execute.
When you were talking about people process, I was like, wait a minute, am I talking to Dan or Marcus Lemonis?
There you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that show. Well, let's now shift into something that I think is really relevant today, because at the time of this interview, we're in the midst of the COVID crisis. So what are you finding is some of the mindset points or shifts that people need to make when business owners are going through this time? Because it's not a throttle back, put it in reverse. It should be, gaining some momentum during this time so that when we hit the ground running, when we're through this, that there's some good productivity. So what are you finding are some good tips in that respect?
Sure. There are a couple things. One is on the mental management of things. And certainly, there's been tremendous psychological and pain that's been is just fallen upon good people through this process. I'm finding that with my clients, we're having to deal with both the logical elements of the business and the psychological elements of the business, not only for themselves but for their team, so that they really need to, there's a mental management, a psychological piece of keeping their team encouraged and motivated and hopeful and all of those types of things. And then there's a whole new challenge that people who are used to regular daily touches and communication are now working remotely from home. And so how do we set people up to be successful working with new routines and new workspaces and new types of positive accountability? So that whole remote work from home piece is a new challenge for a lot of companies. And if they don't get their arms around it quickly, there'll be tremendous setbacks beyond what they're experiencing during this 60 to 90-day crisis.
I agree with you 1,000%, and I think that we're going to find some businesses that are pivoting to add the virtual to get momentum. But I think that when we get through this, those same businesses are going to go, okay, yay, come on back into our office, and we're going to have our whatever, their in-person contact, whatever it's live events or whatever. But I really feel that there is going to be a nice, strong element of pulling that virtual aspect into the moving forward, because people are going to go, I had so many of my clients that were loving not having to drive to our office and get parking and come in and doing it virtual. Not that maybe I'm going to do one appointment virtual and one appointment in person, but I think that people are going to bring elements of this virtual moving forward to be even more of service to their clients. Are you seeing the same thing?
Absolutely. I think you're more than right on that front. We're not going back to the former sales environment and world. That ship has sailed, and it really, not to just repeat a cliche, but there will be a new normal when it comes to how a sales rep and how sales teams operate, and it's going to be remote. And one thing that I think has helped me be able to immediately hit the ground running, helping my clients with this challenge, is I managed in multiple states with multiple teams in multiple environments. And so I've already managed remotely, and I'm very comfortable with it. And so I think I'm able to bring those experiences and successes into our conversations with some very tangible tactics. And, the devil's in the detail. And so those are the types of things. How do they design their work from home workspace? What are the new work from home routines and rituals? How do they protect their customer base through virtual engagement? And what are the ways to maximize the proactive opportunities we'll never have again that we have now with so much time at home? So It's an exciting time, but I agree with you, Mike. We're not going back to how it used to look like.
And it won't go back to what we used to know, and it's not going to be horrible. I mean, we're gonna get through it, as we all have heard. So let's wrap up with this, Dan. I know on your website you've got a free work from home accelerator guide. What's the best way that people can reach out to you, connect with you, get a copy of that guide, and that up?
Yeah, the easiest way is just for them to go to CoachUp.io. And right there on the, almost the middle of the home page, there's a simple button that they can click and just download it at their convenience.
Perfect. Well, Dan, thank you so much for coming on. I had a great time getting to know you, learning about what you do for your clients, and it was really great to have you on the show.
Appreciate the opportunity, Mike. All the best. Thank you.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneurssradio.com.